and record.
Okay, guys. So Yvonne asked me to come on here tonight and talk to you a little bit about how I do my buddy drives. And to set the tone of buddy drives, I guess I need to give you a little bit of history and the reason I started doing them. 4 years ago, my grandson was diagnosed with leukemia, and he was 22 months old at the time. And I can remember those first few weeks when we were at the hospital. It seemed like he was always getting stuff given to him. I mean, somebody brought him an iPad, anything imaginable, he was getting them things given to him. And at the time, I remember my daughter saying, how in the world can I possibly repay all these people for what they're giving us? And I said, these people don't expect anything in return. They're giving from the goodness of their heart. So I went home one day and I thought, what could I give back? What could I do? And the first thing that popped into my mind was Scentsy Buddies. So I talked to, this was my number one thing. The first thing I did was I talked to the child life coordinator. And we were in a pediatric oncology unit. So we were not in just the regular children's hospital. This was like a pediatric oncology unit. So I talked to the child life coordinator and I asked her if she would care if I brought in Scentsy Buddies to give to the other kids that were in this unit. And she was fine with it. So that's how I got my foot in the door. So I can remember the first buddy I brought in was that green frog from years ago. And I brought it in and I gave it to her thinking she would just give it to one of the children. And she said, why don't you take it across the hall? There's a young girl across the hall. Just take it over there and give it to her. So I walked across the hall and there was this 16-year-old, 17-year-old girl, just as bald as could be. And my first thought was, she is too old to want this Scentsy Buddy. So I held this buddy up, I brought it in there and I said, are you too old for this? And I can remember her going, no, like reaching for it. And at that moment, I remember thinking, it does not matter if they're 1 year old or 17 years old. Anybody that's getting chemo pumped into their arm or they're feeling like crap, who doesn't want to snuggle up with a Scentsy Buddy? So that was my first one. And then after that, I just started adding one on. At first, it was all me. I started just adding them on to every order. I'd get another buddy, and I'd take one up there every week. And then my customers started getting wind of what I was doing. And the one customer I can remember, her daughter was an adult and had been diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately passed away about a year ago. But this customer of mine decided she was going to do this big holiday party. And she went right out and told her guests, she said, I want you all to add a Scentsy Buddy on with whatever else you get today. She kind of just challenged them. And every one of them, they had their own holiday order, but everyone added on a Scentsy Buddy. And then in the end, the hostess actually donated all of her host rewards for me to order more buddies. And that was the first holiday. That was the first Christmas season that I took, 60 or 70 Scentsy Buddies to the pediatric oncology unit. And so what they have started doing is every child that comes in and starts chemo gets a Scentsy Buddy. Does not matter how old they are, doesn't matter how little they are, they all get one. They contact me when they start getting low, and then I just put the challenge out to my customers that they're getting low on buddies, and they always rise to the occasion. I just did one a few weeks ago when we had the flash sale because our buddies were such a great price, and I had customers ordering 2 and 3 from me just for donation. Usually they don't even tell me which buddy they want. They will just say, Patty, I'll give you $25, or sometimes they'll splurge and they'll say, let's do a Disney Buddy, and they'll tell me, $35. But they don't usually pick, they just let me do it. And then I do put the scent pouch in the box. I do not put it in the buddy, because I can still remember one time Gabe, my grandson, was here at the house and I had something in the oven. And he was sitting at the kitchen counter and he said, what's that smell? I don't like that smell. And so whatever, I think it was just chicken nuggets or French fries or something, but whatever it was, that smell really bothered him. So I always make sure that I use our clean, fresh smells. I use the lavender, Just Breathe, sweet pea and vanilla, white tea and cactus, some of those kind of smells. I don't do any food smells. And then by just dropping that pouch in the package into the box, it gives the family their choice if they want to take the scent out and put it into the buddy. Another great story, I think last year when I delivered a bunch of them to the hospital at Christmas, one nurse told me this, and I've never forgot. But she said, and when I look back at my grandson, the one thing he hated, he would sit through spinal taps and platelets, transfusions, all this stuff. But the thing he hated most was having his port accessed. And the one nurse told me last year that she had one little boy, and every time she would try to access his port, he would not let her do it unless he was smelling his Scentsy buddy. So I think he didn't like the smell of the iodine, the alcohol, whatever it was she was putting on there. He didn't want to smell that. So he would sit there and sniff his buddy for her to be able to access his port. And right then I thought, oh my gosh, this is so worth it. So my grandson turns 6 in 2 weeks, and we have about 40 buddies that are ready to go. So he gets a big kick out of it now. He likes to go with me and help me deliver them. He thinks he's pretty hot stuff. And so he goes with me and helps me deliver them to the hospital or to the pediatric oncology floor. So, and another thing I think was kind of neat, I had one lady contact me one time because I do put a sticker on the boxes, you know, get well soon or feel better soon from Gabe. And then I do put I think I put my email address. I don't put all kinds of Scentsy and who I am and all that. But I got an email from a lady about a year ago, and she wanted to donate a buddy to my next buddy drive. And this is when I sat in my car and cried because she said her son had been a patient and had got one of my buddies. And so it was like we came full circle. Now he was done with treatment, and she wanted to find a way to give back. So I love the fact that, you know, like I said, I felt like we'd come full circle with the buddies. Okay, I talked about the food smells, Go Light. As for locations to contact, unfortunately, my situation fell in my lap. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, you know, to have somebody in your family be sick and have this opportunity. But it was easy for me. I just contacted the child life coordinator. I think that, and she has told me that if they get an abundance of them in pediatric oncology, sometimes they will take some over to pediatrics. And I know one year at Christmas, we took so many of them, and she asked me if I minded if they took them down to the ER so that if any kids came in on Christmas Eve, or even if there was a sibling waiting in the waiting room, they could give a buddy to a sibling. So once I turn them into them, I don't care what they do with them. They can give them out anywhere in the hospital that they feel is needed. I just start with where I know to go. But as for locations, let me look here what I said. I said, yes, at Christmas, they take them down to the ER, other areas. Try a Ronald McDonald House. We have one of those here too. But if you don't have a pediatric oncology unit, maybe a Ronald McDonald House. Now, I have heard people say that sometimes they're turned away by children's hospitals, but I just haven't had any trouble. I mean, we have a Ronald McDonald House here, a children's hospital here, and a pediatric oncology unit. So I've got all my bases covered, and I've never been turned away. So I don't know if they talked to the wrong person but anyway. Another one I have never done, but I think would be neat if you could find, I don't know why you wouldn't try even a nursing home or an Alzheimer's unit, because that they would love. I mean, have you ever been to some of these nursing homes, and they will snuggle up with anything they can get their hands on? So maybe even do something like that for the holidays. Get your team involved. I find that I'll put it out on my team page, and then they'll work with their teams. And then right before Christmas, they'll bring me 20 or 30 buddies that they've collected as part of their team. Sometimes my girls will go with me to the hospital, but usually they let me just take Gabe and go. So in the end, I guess the feeling of giving back, the feeling of this is just, it's pretty overwhelming. And I can remember when my grandson got sick, my daughter saying, he's missing out on his childhood, and then I look at this picture that I have, and this was taken the day that he got his last chemo treatment. And he starts kindergarten next week. So he's not missing out on his childhood. The nurses all made him this little T-shirt that says, I did it. And so, like his doctor said, the biggest problem we have now is bringing him down off of this pedestal that he's sat on for the last 3 or 4 years now. So he rang the bell last October, and we went on a Disney cruise to celebrate. And now he's ready to start kindergarten, and he turned 6. But a couple weeks ago, he did a lemonade stand at a softball tournament. He wanted to do it. So he's of the mindset that he wants to give back, which I think for a 6-year-old is pretty amazing. But he raised $640 in 4 hours selling lemonade, and he wanted to pour every cup of lemonade himself. So I told you I was short and sweet here. This is just how I do it. But please, Lacey, go ahead and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing all of that. And this honestly couldn't have come at a better time. I don't know if you heard what I was saying when you hopped on. We were approached by another leader who is local in our area, who has a connection to Children's Hospital, and asked us to participate in a bunny fundraiser. Great. The perfect opportunity. And so, of course, I put it out to the team, and everybody who's on here is going to just say yes anyway, but everybody agreed yes. So I'm actually meeting with her this week to get all the team details. So it is a team-wide thing. Yvonne, once I get those details, you can share it with your team too. It's Jess Markham, Yvonne, if you know her at all. Jessica Markham. You know
I've
her?
heard of her. I don't know her.
She, yeah. She approached me. So I just want to clarify just a few things, and then I want to open the floor up. When you said you said a child life coordinator, and that was for someone at Children's or Pediatric Oncology, correct?
Mm-hmm. So she would be like the person that she is the liaison, I guess, between the child, the family, and the hospital. So if we had any issues or any problems or any questions, we always went through Becky. I mean, the doctor was always there, but Becky was always the coordinator of all the fun stuff. Like a few weeks ago, they took us to a water park, all the kids from pediatric oncology, and it was Becky that took everybody. So Becky kind of coordinates, she kind of runs the show.
Awesome. You gave me a really great idea, and I'm going to unmute Kara for this. Kara, audiology departments. Yeah. When kids get their hearing test. Kara and I both have backgrounds in sign language. Her son's deaf, so that would be something that would be either something after they get coked, or just the first time they put a hearing aid in. That scary.
Yes.
Or even going for the first time for an audiology appointment for the hearing test, because they go in that booth, and 9 times out of 10, parents can't go with them.
Mm-hmm. Then you should contact, if you don't already have somebody, Kara, is Liz, the audiologist from St. Rita's. Since she may not be able to do something with St. Rita's, but she has her own business. And then also any of the SLPs that work with audiology.
Yeah, I have an audiologist too that is actually a friend of mine that works at CSD.
Yep.
So
the nursing home too, that was really cool. I went into my grandmother's nursing home not too long ago, and I had thought about a Scentsy buddy, but I guess I didn't really know how to like do it in that aspect. But that would be really cool. I'm gonna unmute anybody now. Neil, you're unmuted. Rosalind, you're unmuted. Yvonne, unmuted, and Amy, you're unmuted. What kinds of questions or just kind of aha moments do you have for Patty?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Patty, when you're doing that and you're putting in your orders with your PRV and everything,
Uh-huh.
are you taking like your free, your half off, whatever you're getting, are you rolling that over just to get more buddies?
Yes, I usually do. Yeah.
Stuff?
Yes.
Okay. That was my big question.
I get as many buddies as I can.
Okay.
And
like
sometimes the hospital will even call me. They've done it a couple times and said, we hate to ask you this because you've been so good to donate, but we need some scent packs.
Oh.
And so then I'll usually just do that myself. You maybe drop off 10 scent packs.
And I was going to say, I've been to the Dayton Children's Hospital. I actually had an in because my sister-in-law worked there, gave me the name of the lady in charge and everything. I've tried for 2 years to get in there to get buddies, and they turn me down every time.
See, my friend Melinda, she's in the Columbus area, and she said their children's hospital would not let them, something about donating stuffed animals.
Yeah.
And she tried to explain that they're all boxed, you know, and so Melinda ended up getting a huge donation from her team last year, and she shipped them all to me. I know. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Yvonne. So when the person, like if I am your customer and I donate $25 and you pick the buddy, do you do anything in return for the customer? Do you say like your donation of $25 gave somebody something? Like, do you send them something like a postcard?
I don't, but I should. I think that's a great idea. Usually I give them a shout out on Facebook and just thank them for their generosity. Sometimes I'll post a picture. A lot of times, and I don't have one of those pictures today, but when I take Gabe in 2 weeks and we make this big delivery, he always poses with all of his nurses and the doctor. And then I make sure I post that picture on Facebook so that all of the customers that donated can see the delivery that we made. And it makes them feel like they're more of a part of it.
Yeah, that would be cute. Like if you could get that onto a postcard and just say your donation.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I love that. Rosalind, do you have any thoughts or questions or anything that came to mind?
Yes, actually, last year I served on jury duty, which was an amazing experience to learn that side of the world. But I learned a lot, needless to say. But one of the things that I did learn, we had a lot of cases. It was grand jury, which is 4 months. You are part of a jury. We had to hear a lot of cases that involved child molestation, sexual abuse. So there is actually not like a hospital, but they have a separate facility if detectives or police officers or attorneys need to question these children. So it's a beautifully decorated facility, you know, just it's bright, it's cheery, and I know they take a lot of different donations. They actually have a wish list that they post. So I was thinking that would be a great
I agree.
A great opportunity for those kids. I mean, they come in there, I mean, the stories we heard had most of us in tears, even the men, when we were listening to these cases. And so they built this facility for these kids to have a safe place to come and tell what happened to them. And I know they do accept stuffed animals. So I think
you could make that, Rosalind, you could make that your, you know, I have my thing, I have my why, you know, this is what I do. You could, you know, you've lived this, you could make this your goal.
Yeah.
What you want to do.
Yeah, that's it.
I think
I started listening to you. That was the first thing that popped in my head. All those poor kids. I'm just, oh my gosh. my heart just went out to them.
And you know what, Rosalind, you made a good point. Oh, your meeting will end in 10 minutes. Thank you.
We're good.
Your comment brought me another idea. We have somebody on the team that does work for the Cat House and Lighthouse for recovering addicts, or even moms who are still choosing to use. And then the Lighthouse work is for runaway teens. So if they get picked up off the streets, I know it's a teenager thing, but I still sleep with a buddy and I'm 32 years old. So it's whatever. Like, there is no judgment. I don't care. I got my Winnie the Pooh buddy in my arm every night. So it's fine. So, but I mean, like, if you're going, Rosalind said, no matter the age, like the kids go through some traumatic things, and just to have something smell good or smell clean to remind them of something, or just snuggle up would be an awesome opportunity to present to her.
Yeah.
Neil, what about you, buddy?
Oh no, they pretty much answered my question, but it gives me an idea, especially with the nursing homes. That gives me something you didn't think about. But yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a specific ask too, doesn't it? Because now I'm going to be looking for child life coordinators everywhere.
That's what she's called here. I don't know if she's always called that, but
no,
that's
I mean, when we go to networking meetings and stuff, like, I'm looking for the coordinator at this nursing home. Like, just Google some nursing homes or child. I know
assisted living facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of your assisted living facilities will have like the people that can get around pretty good, and then they have the ones that are more bedridden, and then the ones that need more care. So I don't know. I just know when my mom had Alzheimer's, she snuggled up with one. So she didn't know who I was, but she knew who her buddy was.
I know we have
Over
like
here,
3
we
or
have a
4
lot of-
people. What'd you say, Neil?
Go ahead, Neil.
I said, and over here we have a lot of memory care.
Yes,
So that's starting to be more popular and building more of those around here.
it is. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, those are great. Great. Well, Yvonne, do you have anything? Amy, have anything?
I was just going to add that when Children's Hospital wouldn't take our buddies, Amy and I had collected quite a bit last Christmas. And my niece is on the Marine police force. So I took it to her, and when they got, cases where the kids were being separated from their parents and having to be put in a cop car or taken away to foster care, they were handing out the buddies then. And
Wonderful.
that went over great too.
Yes.
That's an awesome idea. Yes. Anybody military like that, for sure. Any bases? We have anybody on base too.
Yep.
Well, Patty, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here
My
and
pleasure.
share your wonderful wisdom with us. I will, once the recording's uploaded, I will send you a copy of the recording if you so wish, and you can use it for your own training too. How's that?
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Nice meeting you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye, guys.